some of the ways that people can support us and care for us on the mission field. One of the best ways, and this sounds odd, maybe because it's not directly related to us, but we just try to encourage people, just be a good church member. Just love your local church. Because in many ways, if that's not happening in your life, then that honestly affects us as missionaries, because then we come back and maybe there's conflict, or, if you're not actively going to church on a Sunday and you're not putting yourself under the preaching of the word and relating, and being in community with your local body, then you're not going to hear about missions. So I know that doesn't directly impact us, but it does. Just being a faithful church member.
That involves also just being faithful to the Lord yourself, because your walk with the Lord, you think it's just me and the Lord, or my little sin that I'm struggling with, but it actually oftentimes filters out into the community of faith, and then that community of faith suffers, and so when the body. And that also, it reaches the mission field in ways that you wouldn't think about, just church conflict or church discipline or problems within people, or even just your lack of care or prayer for us. So if you just love the Lord, then that really affects us. So keep your heart soft and love the Lord. That would be our first encouragement to support us.
So I would say maybe some other kind of more direct ways are just contact. I think one of the things that missionaries love, especially when they're overseas, is, sometimes they get lonely. So when you send out a newsletter, just responding and just say, hey, we're praying for you, or, somehow some form of communication. It doesn't have to be long, can be simple. But, and even as missionaries, we miss the States and friends and family here, and we love to hear about what's happening here. So even, sometimes people will email us and just send us paragraphs of what's happening in their life. And honestly, that's a joy for us, because we want to hear about that. So just that contact, maybe prayer, would you say?
For sure. Prayer, and if they want to support us financially, if you all want to support us financially, there's always links to our website and continued through the church as well.
So kind of circling back to prayer, I would just even say, pray for our kids. That our kids face challenges that, maybe the typical kid doesn't face here. Just living in a different culture. Different challenges, and so just praying for them, and just making new friends, and God using their experience overseas to even bring them to Christ, and maybe even a desire to do ministry in the future if that's what he wants to do. And we always tell people, like, if you just want to encourage missionaries, sometimes they'd probably be just thrilled to just have somebody come and visit. So we had some friends come and visit us when we first got there, about a year and a half in, and they didn't do anything. We did a little, maybe traveling, some meetings, showing them some ministry, but a lot of times it was just kind of eating together and having them just love on our kids and loving on us, and just seeing what is new in their lives. So that's another way to kind of get involved in missions. It's just going to visit missionaries, not with the expectation of necessarily doing a lot, but just encouraging and just being with them. So one of the ways that if people are interested in learning about particularly our mission organization or what we're doing, is you can follow us at abisrorsabroad.com, and we have a blog that we try to keep. We try to update, and then we also have a newsletter that we try to send out every couple months. But another option that we often encourage people to do is, especially if maybe you're a young student, if you're in college and you're thinking about, we want maybe you're thinking, I want to experience missions, but I'm not ready to decide yet if I want to do it full time. So our organization, Reaching and Teaching, has several different opportunities for kind of experiencing missions.
So there's what's called the internship, the global internship, and that is a 2-year program where you start out in a church in the States for a year, and they train you and teach you about missions, and you study and you work with the local church, and then you take another year in an English-speaking context in an international church overseas, and apply that and your learning for another year. And then there's also an apprenticeship. I don't know if I'm getting the terms right, but there's a 6-month kind of internship type idea where you go to a missionary all over the world, including us. We're having some this summer. Come visit us for a short period of time. And there's also a 6-week one. So there are different opportunities for college age, young adult students that would like to experience and learn and be a part of missions in some capacity.